My fiance was living a double life with my best friend for 2 years. They thought they'd get away with it until I found out 3 days before our wedding and turned their own plan against them. I was 28 years old, 3 days away from marrying the love of my life, and I had never been happier. That's the part that still gets me sometimes, how genuinely, completely happy I was. Like stupid happy. The kind of happy where you catch yourself smiling for no reason while you're grocery shopping. The kind where you hum in the shower and don't even realize you're doing it. I was planning a wedding, building a future, and I thought I knew exactly how my life was going to go. I was wrong about everything. His name was Ryan Mitchell. We'd been together for 4 years, engaged for 1. He was charming in that effortless way some people are. The kind of guy who could walk into a room full of strangers and have 3 new friends within 10 minutes. He was funny, attentive, thoughtful. He remembered my coffee order, oat milk latte with an extra shot, no sugar. He sent flowers on random Tuesdays with notes that said things like, just because. He'd drive 40 minutes in the rain to bring me soup when I was sick. He'd rub my feet while we watched movies without me even asking. My mom loved him. My dad loved him. My dog Bruno, a grumpy old beagle who growled at literally everyone, would curl up in Ryan's lap and fall asleep. That was the ultimate seal of approval in my family. If Bruno liked you, you were in. And then there was Megan Torres, my best friend since sophomore year of college, my maid of honor. The person I called when I was happy, sad, confused, angry, or just bored on a Tuesday afternoon. We'd been through everything together. Bad breakups, career changes, family drama, that one terrible road trip to Florida where her car broke down in rural Georgia and we had to sleep in a Waffle House parking lot. She was the sister I never had. I trusted her with my life. So yeah, my fiancé and my best friend. You can probably see where this is going, but trust me, the way I found out and what happened next, you are not ready for this. It was a Wednesday evening, 3 days before the wedding. I was at our apartment, mine and Ryan's, doing some last-minute organizing. The seating chart needed adjusting because Ryan's aunt had RSVP'd with a +1 at the last minute. I was also looking for my passport because we needed it for the honeymoon, 2 weeks in Portugal, which I'd been dreaming about for months. Ryan was supposedly at his bachelor party, a long weekend trip to a cabin with his college buddies that had started that morning. He'd kissed me goodbye at 7 a.m., told me he loved me, and said he'd call me that night. Megan was supposed to be at her parents' house 2 hours away, helping her mom repaint the guest bedroom. She texted me a photo of paint swatches that morning with a crying, laughing emoji and the caption, "My mom wants both of these. Help." Everything was normal. Everything was fine. I was going through the hall closet looking for my passport. I could have sworn I'd put it on the top shelf when I knocked over a shoebox. It tumbled off the shelf, the lid popped off, and a phone slid out across the hardwood floor, spinning to a stop near my feet. Not Ryan's phone. Ryan had an iPhone 14 in a blue case covered in stickers. This was a cheap Android, a prepaid burner phone, the kind you buy at a gas station for $30. It had a cracked screen, a plain black case, and no stickers, no personalization. Just a phone that wasn't supposed to exist, hidden in a shoebox on the top shelf of our closet. My first thought, honestly, truly, was that maybe Ryan was planning a surprise for the wedding. He was a romantic guy. Maybe this was part of some elaborate plan involving a secret video montage or a surprise guest. My brain was reaching for any explanation that wasn't the obvious one, so I picked it up. And I know I shouldn't have, but I turned it on. It wasn't password protected. Who doesn't put a password on their phone? Someone who's arrogant enough to think they'll never get caught, that's who. There was only one app with any activity, the messaging app. One conversation thread. Hundreds and hundreds of messages stretching back months and months. The contact name was just a heart emoji. I opened it. My thumb was shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. The first message I saw was from that morning, sent at 8:15 a.m., about an hour after Ryan had kissed me goodbye. Can't wait to see you tonight. Miss you already. The response, sent at 8:22 a.m. 3 more days and we'll figure everything out. I promise I love you so much. My hands started shaking. Not trembling, shaking. Like I was standing in a freezer. I scrolled up, and up, and up. The messages went back 2 years, 2 years, before we were even engaged. Before Ryan proposed to me on that beach in Cape Cod where I cried happy tears and said yes before he even finished the question. And then I saw a photo. Ryan and Megan, in what looked like a hotel room, his arm around her shoulders, both of them smiling at the camera like they didn't have a care in the world. She was wearing the necklace I'd given her for her birthday, a little gold chain with a star pendant. She was wearing my gift while lying in bed with my fiancé. I don't remember the next few minutes very clearly. I think I sat on the hallway floor. I think I made a sound, not crying exactly, more like the air just left my body all at once, like being punched in the chest by an invisible fist. Like every organ in my body simultaneously decided to shut down. When I could think again, when the ringing in my ears faded enough for thoughts to form. I scrolled through more messages, hundreds of them, and the picture became horrifyingly, nauseatingly clear. Ryan and Megan had been seeing each other for 2 years. They had a whole system, the burner phone, code words, fake alibis, coordinated schedules. Every time Megan said she was visiting her parents, she was with Ryan. Every time Ryan had a work trip or a guy's night, he was with Megan. They'd been to hotels, restaurants, even a weekend getaway to Vermont that Ryan had told me was a team-building retreat for work. They had pet names for each other. They had inside jokes. They had a whole relationship running parallel to mine, like a shadow life that existed in the spaces where I wasn't looking. But here's the part that really destroyed me. The part that turned my sadness into something else entirely. The messages from the past few weeks, the weeks leading up to my wedding, they weren't just having an affair, they had a plan. Ryan was going to marry me, go through with the whole wedding, walk down the aisle, say the vows, kiss the bride, cut the cake. All of it. And not because he loved me, because of my family's money. I need to explain something. My family isn't wealthy in a flashy way, no mansions or yachts. But my grandparents, who built a successful chain of dry cleaning businesses in the 1970s, left a substantial trust fund that I'd gained full access to when I got married. It was old-fashioned, I know, a clause from a different era, but that was the condition in the will. The trust was worth approximately $700,000. Ryan knew about it because I told him early in our relationship, back when I thought honesty was something we shared. Back when I thought he loved me for me. The plan, laid out in their messages with sickening clarity, was simple and disgusting. Ryan would marry me. We'd combine finances, joint bank accounts, shared investments, the works. He'd play the loving husband for a year, maybe two. Then he'd initiate a divorce. In our state, assets acquired during marriage are split 50-50 in a divorce. He'd walk away with half the trust fund, $350,000, and straight into Megan's arms. They'd already been looking at apartments together in Austin. They'd already picked out furniture. Megan's messages were the worst part. She'd write things like, "I feel bad for her sometimes," followed immediately by, "But she's so naive, she'll never figure it out." She called me sweet but clueless. She joked about how easy it was to fool me. She wrote, "She literally tells me everything. She even asked me to help her pick out lingerie for the honeymoon." 3 laughing emojis about helping her best friend pick out lingerie for a honeymoon with a man Megan was sleeping with. My best friend. The woman I'd asked to stand beside me on the most important day of my life. The woman I'd held while she cried over her own breakups. The woman I'd lent money to when she was between jobs. She was laughing at me behind my back while sleeping with my fiancé and plotting to steal my inheritance. I cried for about an hour. Ugly, heaving, snot everywhere crying. The kind where you can't breathe and you think you might actually die from the pain. I lay on the hallway floor next to that stupid shoebox, and I sobbed until my ribs ached and my eyes were so swollen I could barely see. My whole future, the one I'd been building in my head for 4 years, the house we'd buy, the kids we'd have, the life we'd share, just evaporated. Gone. Like it never existed. Because it never really did. And then something shifted. The sadness didn't go away, it's still there, honestly, even now. But something else moved in right next to it. Something cold and focused and absolutely furious. Something that looked at those messages and thought, "You think I'm naive? You think I'm clueless? Let me show you what clueless looks like." I dried my tears. I washed my face with cold water until the swelling went down. I made myself a cup of chamomile tea. I sat at the kitchen table, and I started planning. The first thing I did was photograph everything on that burner phone. Every single message. Every photo. Every piece of evidence. I uploaded it all to a cloud drive, emailed copies to a new email address I created specifically for this purpose, and saved backups on 2 separate USB drives. Then I put the phone back in the shoebox, put the shoebox back on the shelf, and positioned it exactly as it had been before. If Ryan checked, he'd never know I'd found it. The second thing I did was call my cousin, Danielle. Danielle is a family lawyer, and not just any family lawyer. She graduated top of her class from Georgetown Law, worked at a white shoe firm for 5 years, and then opened her own practice specializing in divorce and estate law. She's the kind of lawyer other lawyers are afraid of. I told her everything. She was quiet for a long time, so long I thought the call had dropped. Then she said 5 words that changed everything. "Don't cancel the wedding yet." I almost argued with her. Every fiber of my being wanted to call Ryan, scream at him, throw his stuff out the window, and burn the wedding dress in the backyard. But Danielle's voice was calm and certain, and I trusted her. She explained the legal situation with the precision of a surgeon. If I confronted Ryan now and called off the wedding, he'd walk away clean. No consequences, no accountability. He'd just move on to his next victim, and Megan would be right there beside him, and they'd laugh about how I found out and freaked out, and that would be the end of the story. My story would end with me as the victim. I didn't want to be the victim. Danielle told me about the trust fund, specifically about a clause I'd never paid much attention to. The trust was released upon marriage, yes. But it was released to me, into an account in my name, managed by the trust's executor. It wasn't automatically a marital asset. If I kept it separate, never commingled it with joint accounts, never used it for shared expenses, Ryan would have 0 legal claim to it in a divorce. His entire plan was based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how trusts work. He'd Googled marital assets and thought he was a legal expert. He wasn't. But I didn't want to just protect my money. I wanted Ryan and Megan to face real, lasting public consequences. I wanted them to feel even a fraction of the humiliation and betrayal I was feeling. And Danielle, God bless her ruthless legal mind, had ideas. We spent that entire night on the phone crafting a plan. By 3 a.m., every detail was in place. Step 1, act normal. Completely, totally, flawlessly normal. Happy bride, excited about the wedding, not a care in the world. This was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Harder than any exam, any job interview, any loss I'd ever experienced. When Ryan called me from his bachelor party that night, which I now knew was actually a hotel room with Megan, I laughed at his jokes. I told him about the seating chart drama. I said, I love you, and I can't wait to be your wife, and 3 more days, baby. Every word tasted like poison in my mouth, but I delivered each one with an Oscar-worthy performance. I even giggled. I made myself giggle. When I hung up, I went to the bathroom and threw up. Step 2. The wedding would go on as planned, but with some very important modifications. I called my parents the next morning. I drove to their house, sat them down at the kitchen table, and told them everything. I showed them the messages, the photos, the plan to steal the trust fund. My mom cried, deep, angry, mama bear tears. My dad went silent in that terrifying way dads do when they're beyond angry. The kind of silent where you can actually see the rage vibrating behind their eyes. He stood up, walked to the window, stood there for a full minute, and then said very quietly, "Tell me what you need me to do." They agreed to follow my lead. They agreed to act normal at the wedding. My dad said it would be the hardest performance of his life, but he'd do it for me. Then I did something risky. I called Ryan's mother, Patricia. Now, Patricia and I had always gotten along beautifully. She was a retired school teacher, kind and principled, the kind of woman who volunteered at the food bank every Saturday and sent handwritten thank you notes. She was nothing like her son, and I think deep down she knew Ryan had inherited his father's worst qualities. His ex-husband had been a charmer and a liar too. When I showed Patricia the evidence sitting in her living room, watching her face crumble as she scrolled through the messages, she was devastated. Absolutely shattered. She apologized over and over, as if it were her fault. She kept saying, "I raised him better than this. I don't understand. I raised him better." But she also agreed to play along with my plan. More than agreed, she insisted. "He needs to face this," she said, her jaw set. "He needs to face this in front of everyone." The day of the wedding arrived. Saturday, June 14th. Beautiful weather, 72 degrees, clear blue sky, not a cloud in sight. The venue looked stunning. A converted barn on a vineyard about an hour outside the city, draped in white flowers and fairy lights, with long wooden tables set for 200 guests. The caterer had outdone herself. The string quartet was warming up. Everything was perfect. I got ready in the bridal suite with my bridesmaids, including Megan, of course. She helped me with my veil. She told me I looked beautiful. She hugged me and said, "I'm so happy for you." She had tears in her eyes, actual tears. I don't know if they were real or performance, and I don't care. I hugged her back and said, "I couldn't do this without you." I walked down the aisle in my dream dress, a simple A-line with lace sleeves that my mom and I had picked out together. My dad walked beside me, his arms steady even though I could feel the tension in his grip. 200 faces turned to watch me. Ryan stood at the altar, looking handsome in his navy suit, his eyes glistening. The ceremony was beautiful. We exchanged vows. Ryan cried, actual tears rolling down his cheeks while promising to love and cherish me forever, in sickness and in health, forsaking all others. Forsaking all others. He said those words while his mistress stood 6 feet away in a lavender bridesmaid dress, holding my bouquet. I said my vows, too. I smiled. I meant none of them. And for the first time in my life, I understood what it felt like to be a really, really good liar. It's a terrible skill to have. But sometimes it's necessary. We were pronounced husband and wife. We kissed. Everyone cheered. Megan, standing right there at the altar, dabbed at her eyes with a tissue and mouthed, "I love you" to me. The performance of a lifetime from both of them. The reception started, cocktail hour on the vineyard terrace, then dinner in the barn, farm-to-table menu, locally sourced wines, candlelight everywhere. It was genuinely gorgeous. If I hadn't known what I knew, it would have been the happiest night of my life. Speeches began after the main course. Ryan's best man, Jake, gave a funny toast about their college days that had everyone laughing. My dad gave a touching speech about watching me grow up, and if his voice wavered more than usual, people just thought he was emotional about his little girl getting married. He looked at Ryan exactly once during the speech, and the look in his eyes could have peeled paint. Then it was Megan's turn. The maid of honor speech. She stood up, looking gorgeous in her lavender dress, champagne glass in hand, and gave this beautiful, eloquent speech about friendship and love and destiny. She talked about how she'd never seen two people more perfect for each other. She talked about how Ryan was the most honest, loyal, genuine man she'd ever met. She actually said that. Honest, loyal, genuine, with a straight face, to a room full of 200 people, while she'd been sleeping with him for 2 years and plotting to steal my money? She finished with, "To the bride and groom, may your love story be as beautiful as you both deserve." Everyone raised their glasses. Everyone drank. I clinked my glass against Megan's and smiled. And then I stood up. "I'd like to say a few words too, if that's okay," I announced, taking the microphone from the DJ stand. My voice was steady. My hands were not, but I kept them behind my back. The room quieted down. Ryan smiled at me encouragingly from across the table. Megan sat back down, looking relaxed, reaching for another sip of champagne. "First, I want to thank everyone for being here today. This is a day I will never, ever forget." I paused, let the silence build. "And I want to give a special thank you to 2 people who truly made this day possible. My husband, Ryan, and my best friend, Megan." I pulled out my phone and connected it to the venue's AV system, something I'd arranged with the DJ earlier that day. I put together a little slideshow, a tribute to the 2 most important people in my life. The projector screen behind me lit up. The first few photos were normal: me and Ryan at a picnic, me and Megan at brunch, the 3 of us at a concert last summer. People were smiling, some were awing, a few people had their phones out to take pictures. Then the photos changed. Ryan and Megan in the hotel room, his arm around her, both smiling. Then Ryan and Megan at a restaurant, holding hands across a candlelit table. Then a screenshot of their messages. "She's so naive. She'll never figure it out." Then another. "3 more days and we'll figure everything out." Then another. "Once she gets the trust fund and you guys combine finances, we're set." Then the photo of Megan wearing my birthday gift necklace in Ryan's hotel bed. The room went dead silent. 200 people, and you could have heard a pin drop on cotton. The string quartet had stopped playing. The caterers froze mid-step. Someone's champagne glass clinked against a plate and it sounded like a gunshot. Ryan's face went white, then green. He stood up so fast his chair fell over backward with a crash. "Wait, those aren't, where did you, They're from the burner phone you keep in the hall closet," I said calmly, my voice carrying across the silent room. "The one you've been using to communicate with my maid of honor for the past 2 years? The one you forgot to put a password on?" Megan was frozen, completely, utterly frozen, like someone had hit her pause button. Her mouth was open, but nothing was coming out. The champagne glass in her hand was tilting, spilling onto the white tablecloth, and she didn't even notice. I continued. "I also want to read a few of my favorite messages, for anyone who couldn't see the screen clearly. This one's from Megan, sent about 6 weeks ago. Once she gets the trust fund and you guys combine finances, we're set. Just play the loving husband for a year or 2, and then we're free." And this one from Ryan, sent the same day. "She has no idea. This is almost too easy. I actually feel bad sometimes." Almost too easy. He almost felt bad. Sometimes. Ryan's mother, Patricia, stood up from her table near the back. She walked through the silent room, every eye following her, straight to her son. She looked him dead in the eye and said, loud enough for every person in that barn to hear, "I raised you better than this. I am ashamed of you. Your father would be ashamed of you." Then she walked over to me, put her arm around my shoulder, and stood beside me. My mom stood up too. Then my dad. Then Danielle. They flanked me like a wall. The room erupted. People were gasping, whispering. Some were shouting. Ryan's college friends looked like they wanted to dissolve into the floor. Megan's parents, who were also guests, seated at table 9, looked like they'd been hit by a freight train. Her mother was crying. Her father was staring at Megan with an expression I can only describe as broken. Ryan tried one more time. He stepped toward me, hands up, voice cracking. "Baby, please, let me explain. It's not what it looks like. We can talk about this." "There's nothing to explain, Ryan. I've already filed for an annulment. My lawyer." I gestured to Danielle. "Submitted the paperwork this morning, on the grounds of fraud. You married me under false pretenses with the documented intention of accessing my trust fund. That's not just grounds for annulment. My lawyer tells me it's potentially criminal." I turned to the crowd. 200 stunned faces staring back at me. "I'm sorry to ruin the party, everyone. Truly. But the bar is still open, the food is still coming, and the DJ has a playlist ready to go. So please stay, eat, drink, dance. Consider it my I dodged a bullet celebration." And you know what? They did. After Ryan and Megan slunk out, separately because suddenly they didn't want to be seen together, the party actually got better. The DJ put on Survivor by Destiny's Child, and the dance floor exploded. People came up to me all night telling me how brave I was, how strong I was, how they couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. My college friends formed a protective circle around me and didn't leave my side all night. My dad danced with me to My Girl by The Temptations, the song that was supposed to be our father-daughter dance, and he whispered in my ear, "I'm so proud of you, kiddo. So damn proud." I danced until midnight. I laughed. I cried a little. I ate 3 pieces of my own wedding cake. It was, against all odds, one of the best nights of my life. The aftermath was swift and brutal for them. The annulment went through in record time. Danielle made sure of that. Because it was granted on the grounds of fraud, Ryan got nothing. Not a penny. Not a dish. Not a towel. The trust fund went into my account, untouched and fully protected, exactly as my grandparents intended. Ryan's reputation was destroyed. In our city, everyone knew everyone. And the wedding video, yes. Someone recorded the whole thing on their phone, spread through social media like wildfire. Within a week, it had been shared thousands of times. Ryan lost friends. He lost professional connections. He worked in sales. And nobody wants to do business with a guy publicly exposed as a con artist. His company quietly let him go 2 months later. Megan's life fell apart too. Her parents were so humiliated and angry that they cut her off financially, and she'd been relying on them more than anyone knew. She lost almost all of our mutual friends because it turns out people don't really want to be associated with someone who'd betray their best friend so completely. She tried to post her side of the story on Instagram, a long, tearful caption about how things are more complicated than they seem, and I never meant to hurt anyone. But it backfired spectacularly. The comments were savage. People posted screenshots of her own messages. She deleted it within hours, but the screenshots lived on. And here's the twist ending nobody saw coming, not even me. About 4 months after the wedding disaster, Ryan and Megan actually tried to make their relationship official. They moved in together in a small apartment across town. No more hiding, no more burner phones. Just two people who destroyed everything around them trying to build something on the wreckage. It lasted 3 months. Ryan cheated on Megan with a woman he met at a bar. Because of course he did. A man who cheats with you will cheat on you. It's not a cliche. It's a law of nature. Megan found out and completely lost it, and here's the part that still amazes me. She called me. She actually picked up her phone and called me sobbing, saying she finally understood how I felt, and she was so sorry, and could I ever forgive her? I listened for about 30 seconds. I let her cry. I let her apologize. And then I said very calmly, Megan, I'm going to give you the exact same amount of sympathy you gave me when you were sneaking around with my fiancé behind my back and calling me naive. And I hung up. It's been about 1.5 years now. I'm doing great. Actually, genuinely great. Not the fake I'm fine kind of great, but the real kind. I used some of the trust fund to start a small business, an online boutique selling handmade jewelry and accessories. It's actually turning a profit, which still surprises me every month when I look at the numbers. I adopted a second dog, a scruffy little terrier mix named Olive, who Bruno tolerates with grumpy dignity. I started therapy with a wonderful woman named Dr. Reeves, who helped me understand that what happened wasn't my fault and that trusting people isn't a weakness, even when those people turn out to be monsters. And I'm dating someone new. His name is Marcus. He's a high school history teacher who coaches the girls' soccer team and gets genuinely excited about the Roman Empire. He's kind and honest and wonderfully, beautifully boring in all the right ways. He's never sent me flowers on a random Tuesday, but he shows up. Every single day he shows up. And that's worth more than all the flowers in the world. I don't think about Ryan and Megan much anymore. But when I do, I don't feel angry. I feel grateful. Grateful that I found that phone. Grateful that I had people in my corner. Danielle, my parents, Patricia, my friends. Grateful that I chose strategy over emotion in the worst moment of my life. Grateful that I didn't let them turn me into a victim. And honestly, I'm grateful for the lesson. Because now I know something important about myself. I'm not sweet but clueless. I'm sweet, sure. I'm trusting. I'm generous. I see the best in people. And I refuse to apologize for any of that. But I'm also the kind of person who can smile at you across a dinner table, clink champagne glasses with you, and hug you goodnight, all while knowing that your entire world is about to come crashing down around you. And you'll never see it coming. Don't mistake kindness for weakness. That's the lesson here. Because the people who underestimate the quiet ones, the ones who think sweet means stupid, they always end up surprised. Always.